So, what are some of the roles that are relevant to PI planning? Well, we've already kind of safely assumed that we have a number of Scrum and Kanban teams that are coming together. So, of course, the roles there are going to be the Scrum Master, the product owners, and the team members. But there's some additional roles that are introduced by SAFe that are relevant to PI planning. We can see down here, if we sort of zoom in a little bit, several roles that we have to take into account. First of all, the one that you may have heard of is this fancy name here, the Release Train Engineer, or RTE. Then there's the product management, the business owners, and the system architect or engineer. So let's just take a look at each of these roles and their relevance to SAFe with respect to the PI planning process. The first is the release train engineer. Really, you can think of this person as being the Uber Scrum Master. Just like a Scrum Master facilitates the team, they're a servant leader who facilitates a team. The release train engineer is the servant leader who facilitates all the processes and execution of the agile release train, our so-called team of teams. They're the one who facilitates our planning meetings, the retros, have raise impediments or clear away impediments. They're for everything that you can think of. The analogs to a Scrum Master really applies to the release train engineer at the program level. The next important role is product management. And in some ways, you can think of this role as, again, the sort of the Uber product owner. Now, SAFe is a little doesn't just refers to this role as product management, doesn't say that it's one person. But what I've seen in most organizations is that generally the responsibility does fall onto one person's shoulders, where they have the final authority for prioritizing the program backlog. Just as each team, Scrum team or Kanban team, has their product backlog or team backlog with a product owner, there is a higher level backlog of features that is managed by product management. And that role there is to prioritize that backlog, saying which features are most important to us. And they're responsible for pushing features through the so-called program backlog. They create the vision for the program. So a lot of the things that you would think of a product owner is doing for a team, the product management is doing for at the program level for the release train. Then there are the business owners. Now the business, the one thing that is really nice about SAFe and Agile, it sort of takes the day-to-day management of people off the shoulders of the business owner and enables them now to focus on the growth of the organization, the people. So the business owners are the people who ultimately need to approve the plans that are developed during the PI planning process. These are also the people who assign value to the objectives. So they're accountable for growth in our organization and our people. They're responsible for approving the plans, and they assign business value. The role here is a bit fuzzy because it's hard to say who is a business owner and who is not. Now, in a small business, it's kind of easy to point to that person. But you'll notice here, for example, I've got Lawrence, who's our product manager, also appearing as a business owner. And this is just kind of saying, the business owners are the people who play this role, who are accountable for growth, approve the plans, and assign business value. So who are the people who do that? That would be the business owner role with respect to SAFe. Finally, there's the system architect or engineer. These are your senior developers, who are able to take a system view. Right? They look at the system from the large scale macro view. Their main job is to align all the teams to a common technology and architectural vision. So they work across the teams on the entire Agile release train and are responsible for alignment. Now, something that is really important here is they empower the teams to make local decisions. I've seen a lot of organizations where the architects end up having to micromanage teams, or they're structured to make micro decisions for the teams. The intent here is that we get far more speed if we're not always having to wait for the architect to do things for us. So that the role of the architect or systems engineer is about aligning the teams such they have a common understanding of how things are done and empowering them to make decisions at the local level.